Today I'm going to show you how to attract cash paying clients to your practice in 2024. My name is Matta. I'm the founder of PT Biz, and in the last 12 months alone, our clients have generated 65,000 new patients. And I'm going to show you exactly the framework that we are using with them that you can plug into your own practice as well and get a better idea of how to consistently and effectively do what many people consider is the hardest part of these businesses, which is to actually generate consistent new patient volume every single month. And more importantly, to be able to grow past yourself in a consistent way and be able to hire other staff members. And that doesn't happen without enough patient volume. That's a true fact of that. So today we're going to talk about the 4 parts of a marketing strategy that go into actually developing your cash pay patient volume to a point where you can scale past yourself to however many providers it is you decide that you want to be able to hire. So let's go over these 4 areas, and we're going to keep this super simple. And they're really are the 4 of this: local marketing, ads, content, and then referrals. So I'm going to go into each of these 4 in a bit more detail. But what you have to keep in mind is that each of these are in their own right will generate a certain amount of new patients. But when combined together, they're going to work even better, right? They're going to increase your throughput, increase the likelihood that you have more new patients. And if one starts to maybe not do as well that month, the others are going to be there as well. It's the concept is really, imagine you're fishing and you had like 1 pole that you could use, versus if you were fishing and let's say you had 4, and that's going to increase the likelihood that you actually catch something by a significant amount, because you just have more bait in the water. You have more chances to actually catch something. So as long as you can pay attention to all 4 of those, let's put it that way. So you don't want to do so much and take it to an extreme where it's literally you can't even track and optimize things effectively or hand those off to other people to do. You want to be able to track these things, and these are the 4 that we find have the best ROI of your time. So again, it's local marketing, and again, these are going to go straight into your practice, right? So local marketing, I'm going to get into that. Ads is going to drive to your practice. Referrals is going to drive to your practice. Content is going to drive to your practice. And all these together are what's going to form your marketing strategy that's going to lead to you having consistent new patient volume. So if we look at local marketing, let's start with that, because this is the one that I think most people are kind of the most familiar with, but also it's one of those things that it feeds everything else. It's your physical footprint. Now, I've seen people that have cash-based practices that do nothing besides this, and they generate 20, 30, 40 new patients in a month because they're really good at it. And it's a huge part of what they do. So you could live off of just one of these. And if you were to pick one, by the way, I would pick this one. And the reason I say that is you have a local business. You have a local service business that works with other people. And those other people talk to other people in your area, and they go to community events in your area, and they're part of clubs, or they're going to school events or a game or something like that. And for a very long time, business, service-based local businesses, any type of local business, whether it's a restaurant or a physical therapy clinic or whatever, that a big part of the marketing strategy is just to be a part of your community, right? Like that's a big part of it. And that's kind of what we're talking about here with local marketing. That's a portion of local marketing. And for me, I like to break this up into 4 subcategories of local marketing. And some people are going to be better at others than others at different variations of this. But the first one is workshops. Okay, so workshops, when we look at that, this is workshops is a big one. Okay, so workshops is education events. That's where you go and you teach about something that you have some sort of subject matter expertise with, and your ability to educate people on what their problems are puts you in the position as a subject matter expert, which means you probably can solve their problem. Okay, that is what happens with workshops. For instance, let's say you go to a running store and you talk about the ankle and the problems you see with the ankle that lead to plantar fasciitis and Achilles problems, right? Common running related injuries. You talk about training methodologies, how the foot works, things people can do to, pre-post run, really help alleviate that. And you engage with them about this common running problem. And then afterward, you talk to people about the injuries that they have going on, and you sign some of them up to become clients and come in and see you. Even better, you collect their information, their name and their email and phone number, and you follow up them afterwards, right? That is the way in which a lot of people can generate consistent patient volume. And it's very low tech. It's something that you probably are a pretty good educator to begin with. It's a reason why a lot of people will actually trend this direction to start with, is because they feel comfortable with it. They know a lot about the profession. They know a lot about how to work with people, and they show that at a live event, and it works typically to get patients in. We see somewhere between, like on the low end, 20%. On the high end, I've seen as much as 60% of people come in and book a visit. Okay, so somewhere between 20 and 60% is what you can expect. Let's say you have 10 people that show up, 2 to 6 people will turn into a new patient if you're good at running a workshop. And there's definitely nuances to doing this correctly that we don't have time to get into today. But a good workshop is very different than just going and doing an education event. Like, there's a lot around it: how you set it up, how you follow up with people, and then how you relay information. Because you have to make sure you're talking to non-clinicians. The biggest mistake that I see is clinicians speak as if they're talking to their clinicians, and it's too high level of information, and people don't actually understand what you're talking about. The second thing is community events. So a community event, this is you going and being a sponsor of a race, a local like wellness workshop that's going on, or this could also be you volunteering your time with a high school. Let's say you want to be the assistant strength coach for a high school, or you want to coach at a club soccer team or something you have a unique interest and advantage of, like understanding that world. You've coached in it before. Maybe you were a high level athlete in whatever capacity yourself, and you want to share that information. You're in a position as a coach, as a leader within the community, and that is actually a really powerful thing. It's not obviously the only reason to do it is not to get patients. You want to really want to do it as well. But if you put yourself in that position, you're more visible. People know what you do. They know more about you. It's really about more about how many people know who you are than anything else. That is what a local reputation is. And there's people, like I said, that are amazing at this, that are business owners that have bulletproof, multi 7-figure businesses and many different types of businesses that strictly are all built off of this. And they're great at it. The negative is it's time intensive. So, it can take a lot of time to be involved in a community. It can take a lot of time to, teach events and set those up. So, the negative is that it takes a lot of time. The positive is it is really, really effective. And it's very hard to screw up if you're doing the right thing for people long term. The third thing would be injury screens, which are not the same thing as workshops, by the way. They look like they're the same. In theory, you're in person with a number of people, but it's a one-to-one versus a one-to-many, shorter. You're basically establishing some sort of testing, some sort of screen you want to take them through, and you're going to let them know the findings of that, of what you feel like is going on and what they need to work on. So this is much more, I think of workshops like planting seeds, right? So you're farming, you're planting, you'll harvest it at one point, but it's not right away for a large percentage of people that maybe come to an event like that. Same thing with community events. It's very much farming. You're planting seeds. Injury screens. Injury screens that's hunting. The people are coming in. They're saying, I want to get checked out for this. You do an assessment, diagnostic assessment, whatever that is. There's lots of different variations of this depending on your niche and your background. But then from there, it's, hey, here's what I've found. Do you want help fixing this? Or do you want to try to figure it out on your own? The conversion percentage on injury screens is much higher than workshops. Workshops will help build a brand a bit more and drive people to eventually come into a injury screen. Not to say you can't get patients from those, but injury screen is a lot more direct. It's going to be a lot more, one-to-one, shorter, and then move to the next step of whatever that is. In most cases, it's going to be, come in, let's take a look at this, more hands-on, let's get some more time, and let's really solve this problem, the root cause of this problem, right? So those work great, especially in conjunction with workshops. The fourth thing would be networking events. Now, or local networking. And this is things like B&I groups, local chamber of commerce things, local entrepreneur groups. These can be hit or miss. I've been in like local chamber of commerce groups that was a complete waste of my time. I've been in local networking groups that were amazing and literally drove a ton of patients my way. But it just depends on the mix of people. It depends on, who's there, the things that they're interested in. And for what I found is local entrepreneur groups, or even something like a BNI group, which is like a business networking group, which is not necessarily entrepreneurs. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's like professionals that are just like working for other companies. That can be a great fit if the right mix of people is there. If it's the wrong mix of people, it doesn't mean that the networking doesn't work. It just means that maybe it's not the right mix, and you maybe need to try to go and find a different group. For some people, they kill it with this. Absolutely crush it. We drove a lot of business with these type of groups, these networking groups. Very much worth my time to be a part of those. And you got to keep in mind, as the owner of your practice, your goal is to basically build the business, and that means leadership, hiring people, and driving people, into your space at a certain point. Like, that's the most important thing you can possibly do to help fill the schedules of everybody else. So these networking groups can be a really good fit locally, and it really does help increase your brand, because more people are aware of you, which is always an important thing to keep in mind. Like, brand is really, really important. The number of people who know who you are, and in particular have positive things to say about you, that is really, really important, and it kind of works in the background. You don't see it happening, but it does affect everything else, and I'll talk about that in a second. So that's local marketing. Again, if I was to pick one, and you should say only pick one of these, that's the one that I choose. I think it's the most important, effective thing you can possibly do for a local business, and it's the least technical. One of all of them. You don't need to know landing pages and ads and whatever else. You just have to be a part of communities. You have to share your knowledge with people and then follow up with them. And it's simple, as simplified as that sounds, it can be a hard thing to do at scale in particular. So the second one is content. Content is basically sharing your knowledge in a curated way on different platforms, right? So you can do this in a lot of ways. You can do this on something like this, like YouTube. You can do this on your own site with blog posts. You can do this on Facebook, Instagram. You can use Twitter or X, whatever it's called. You can use a lot of different platforms to share your information. What we found with cash-based practices, the number one currently is going to be Instagram. So Instagram is, for many people, the most user-friendly. It makes a lot of sense for our profession because we can share what we're doing. We can share a few different things in the actual office, which is really cool. So if you think about it, you've got educational content that you can share. So you can actually share, hey, this is what the knee does in the squat, or this is, how the shoulder should look when you're doing a pull-up, right? Or this is what we commonly see when somebody has a pain in this area. You can share those things, or you can share, exercises that people could do for certain injuries, right? So here's 2 exercises to do if your neck is hurting to alleviate some pain right away, right? Like, go straight into that, and it's a really effective way of doing that. You've also got patient case studies, which are really cool. Think of this as like behind the scenes. You get to show your clinic, you get to show what you're doing, you get to show kind of the people you're working with, what movements they're going through, that you're actually working with people, which gives you some social credibility with that. And all of that together is really engaging for people. People like to see that. They like to see the behind the scenes of stuff. They like to see the reality TV kind of side of things. And that is a easy thing to do because you're literally doing this with patients all day. So you can curate that pretty easily without having to think about, like, what are you going to share with people. It's basically documenting what the day looks like in the office, okay? As long as your patients are okay with it. That's really important. Like, don't do this without asking them. The third thing is show your brand personality. So this is like, what your space looks like. Again, it kind of goes hand in hand with this, but it could literally be, what your team is doing. It could be, the culture of your clinic, the things that you're into that are, unique to you, whether that be health and fitness stuff, or it's, you like the team likes to go out and they like to play pickleball together or something like that. Showing your personality is really a good way of doing that on Instagram as well. It's a really, really user-friendly platform that a lot of our patients are on, and that a lot of the clinics can use like pretty easily. The last thing is that you can interact with professionals and potential patients. So you can interact with other people within the space that are trainers, clinicians, people that are potentially, complementary in terms of the industry that you're in. Also potential patients that might follow your account, and you can reach out and say, hey, how's it going? Interested in any specific content or something specific that we can help you with? Like you can actually just touch base with somebody. You can share information as well. You can engage with other people, like their posts and comment on it and share that. You can be part of a digital community, which is, I just view this as an opportunity to have digital marketing, local marketing, basically like digital local marketing in Instagram, and share your thoughts at the same time, which is very similar to what we're talking about on the local marketing side. It's just happening on a application that is digital. It's a digital community. It's no different as far as sort of the rules of the game. It just happens in a digital world versus a physical world. And the best part of it, though, is you can share your thoughts, your views, your unique expertise, and show the personality of yourself as well as your clinic, which is very, very powerful. So the two of these work really well. So like digital local marketing and in-person local marketing are great, and you're already probably able to curate some of your thoughts. It's a great way to share it and see what sticks and what messaging sticks. It's a really, really easy way to test some of these things, especially before you look at anything like ads, which is the third thing. So ads, if you want to really build your practice up, I believe ads has to be a part of that strategy at a certain point, especially when you're working to build clinical schedules past yourself and maybe like one other provider. So the thing with ads is there's a lot that can go wrong with ads, and there's two variations. There's branding ads, and then there's like call to action ads, which would be traditionally what most people think of, where it's like, hey, book a call to talk to our team about working with us, whatever, right? But when we look at branding ads, so branding ads, the best place for this is really Facebook and Instagram. And what you're doing is you're paying Facebook and Instagram to put your best content, in most cases it's going to be some sort of video, in front of a specific audience of people in a specific area. So ironically, this is funny, like back in the day when we started Athletes Potential, the first ad strategy I ever got into was literally this. And it was called video view campaigns back whenever we would run this. And this is, keep in mind, this is like 8 years ago, which in digital marketing terms is basically ancient. It's generations ago. So previously what we could do, and there's variations that are similar to this today, but previously what you could do is you could take your best content and you could say, I want to create a video view ad. So I just want to pay to get views on eyeballs on this. I only want it in this set area, so within a few miles of where my clinic is, with these demographic sort of characteristics of the people that are, the age demographics, the interests, things like that. And those are the people that I want to see this content. And there's nothing else there. They can't do anything, right? I mean, they might be able to like click to a link that you can embed in there, but for the most part, it's just like, hey, here's a post that we think that you would like. It's suggested for them. That's what they call it now. It's like suggested post, basically. And what was cool was back when we were running these, like it's a very cheap, easy way to get visibility to your brand, and it's something that we do to this day, even with the companies that we have currently. And what we like about it is it allows us in a very cost-effective way get visibility on content that we know is engaging and we know is helpful to people. And that is basically like taking a step forward in the likelihood that person is going to become a client, because they need a certain number of interactions and a certain amount of trust before they decide they want to work with you. So if you can help them in some way, if you can share something that they may find valuable, the next steps are, think of it logically, right? If you watch something and it's like, oh man, that was a helpful video on dealing with my neck pain. I tried these couple little exercises out. It actually seemed to help. I'm going to look these people up, and the next steps are they look at your website, they go on, they look at your social media profile probably first, actually, see what you have going on there. So don't run ads if you're not doing any sort of social media profile, content sharing, or any of the other things we just talked about as far as Instagram is concerned, because they're not going to see anything, and then they're going to think that this is a scam or you're brand new and probably not very good. So they're going to do that next. You're going to look at your social accounts. Then they're going to look at what's linked. They go to your website. Maybe they look at what referral or what testimonials do you have? Do you have any Google reviews, things like that? And from there, they'll make a decision of, oh, maybe this is worth me reaching out to them, or they'll forget about you. But then, a couple weeks later, maybe they talk to somebody that they know that are talking about their neck problem. That person says, oh man, I went to this clinic. It was really good. It was called this. This is the name of it. It's the name of the video they saw. These things click. All of a sudden, they make an appointment and they're in the office, right? So you don't know necessarily how these are going to connect. You can't see how they're happening in the background. You can't follow these people around and know exactly what conversations they're having, but it's going to happen. And if you can put content that you know is helpful and that people are engaging with, the best content that you're sharing, so you're basically sharing here, you're saying, okay, my educational content or this stuff, this is like really clicking for some reason. And let's say it's an educational video, like we're talking about this neck pain video. Well, if you can share that, and then all of a sudden, like, you realize, oh, this is getting exponentially more organic views than anything else. That's what we want to do, is take this and we want to bring it down, and then we want to make a branding ad out of that. That's how you know which ones to pick, because your people are already telling you that. You're testing it for free, and then you're putting ad spend behind it because you know it's a helpful video and it's something people are engaging with and they like. So that's how you test these, and then you're putting money behind your best content, right? And what's cool about this is the most cost-effective way that you can do any sort of paid advertising. It's the least trackable. That's the challenge. It's not as trackable, so you can't have this very definitive return on investment that you can estimate or you can calculate out. You just have to understand that if you can get somebody to watch one of your videos, let's say it's a minute, and it's costing you 50 cents to get them to watch it, like if you could give somebody 50 cents on the street that was your ideal customer and they lived in the area that you lived, would you do it? Like, probably. It'd be worth it for you to do that. And then they get an interaction with you at a very low cost. But it's building a brand, right? You're building awareness of your company, which is very different than ads that are going to be more call to action ads, because that's not building a brand. If anything, you need a lot of brand equity for that to actually work, because there's a lot of that out there and people are constantly inundated with these, right? You probably see this constantly yourself. So you got to build a brand that people trust and know that if they work with you, they're going to get a great outcome and that you're going to do the right things for them. You have high integrity and you do what you say you're going to do. These are all things that a brand builds, and a call to action ad cleans a lot of that stuff up for people that are showing that they're more interested. So the second variation would be this, which is we have found at this point, we have run millions of dollars of ads, and not just like for other clients, but for ourselves and other clients combined, millions of dollars of ads, which is a lot, and a lot of information you get from that about how ads actually work. And what we found is if you have a cash-based practice, the cost per lead is going to be higher on Google, lower on something like Facebook and Instagram, but the intent is much higher on Google and much lower on Facebook and Instagram. The reason is, if you think about Google, people are searching for a solution to a problem. They're actively searching best physical therapist Atlanta, or knee pain specialist Atlanta, or whatever, right? They're searching locally for a solution to a problem. In Facebook and Instagram, they're looking at pictures of their friends' vacations. They're looking at pictures of their friends' kids. They're on there looking at funny videos. They're not necessarily searching for a solution to a problem, so they're scrolling through stuff. You have to get them to stop and get enough interest that they're like, yeah, I want to do this thing, this call to action, whatever it might be. And that is a less of a high intent individual than somebody that is actively searching for something. So what we found is if the intent of this is to get new patients, the easiest thing to do is to start by looking for the people who are actively searching for a solution to their problem. That means they know they have a problem and they know that they want to get help with it. And that's typically Google. Not to say that Facebook and Instagram don't work, but what we found is that's better for branding. It's better for building your brand and sharing content and information. And then for you to actually clean a lot of those things up, it's when people are searching for something in Google. And or if you want to go the route where you're using Instagram and Facebook for actual like call to actions, what you're going to end up with is more leads, but a far lower amount of those people that are actually come in and less qualified from what we found as well. So if we have to pick one and try to make this as simple as we can, we prefer call to action ads actually happen on Google, and branding ads actually happen on Instagram and Facebook is the way that we like to break it out. So again, they're searching for a solution for a problem, so they're qualified to some degree. And this makes it much more effective, like I said, as far as the number of people that you're going to have to engage with. So the way it works is basically this, and this is it with no matter what platform you put it on. But you have an ad, and your ad is saying, whatever, like get help with your knee pain, click here. Let's just say it's as simple as that. They click to a page, right? So there's drop-off points in all of these. Your ad could suck, right? So like your ad could be the problem. Like this could literally be, terrible conversion. So this is one drop-off point is right here. We've got the second one is the landing page, the opt-in page, the conversion rate, which would be the fourth one. Conversion percentage in office is 6, and conversion percentage from the show rate to in office would be the fifth one as they're transitioning. So all of these spots, it starts here with the ad. So the ad is basically a call to action for them to take the next step, which would be go to the landing page to then learn more about what we're talking about. So let's say it's an ad to get on a discovery call with your team to have a discussion for 15 minutes about what's going on with their knee and if you can help them. So okay, cool. Landing page is the next step. So let's say you have 100 people that see the ad, and let's say that 10 people go to the landing page. That's a 10% drop or 59% drop off rate or 10% conversion percentage to the landing page, right? So cool. Maybe the ad needs a little bit of help. Maybe you need to split test some things. But the landing page is the next step. So now let's say 10 people get there, and let's say one person moves over to the opt-in and they actually schedule. That means you have a 10% conversion from the landing page to the opt-in. These are all areas where we can start to optimize and improve, but what we want to see is the highest throughput of people that are going from the ad to the landing page to actually opting in to talking to you about something. That's the key. I don't care how many people actually click from the ad as much as I care how many of those people are actually doing what I want them to do. I would much rather have, if I have 100 people click from the ad and only one person does what I want them to do, but I have 10 people click from the ad, but 8 people do what I want them to do, I'll take that all day, because that's it's far more efficient, number one, with my ad spend, but also with my team and my resources with people that I'm going to have, follow up with. So you want to make sure that you are efficient with your ad spend and not just going for just a bunch of lead generation of low quality leads. This is one of the bigger mistakes I see with ads is people are just like, oh man, I'm getting like 50 cents cost per lead. I'm killing it. Yeah, but how many of those people are turning into clients? Like 0. That means you have poor targeting. That means your ad is not reaching the right people, or your messaging is off, right? So you've got to look at this all the way through the entire funnel. The other big drop-off percentage you're going to see is opt-ins from when they schedule to actually showing up to talking to you, okay? That comes down to the messaging you have. That comes down to the availability you have, how quickly you can talk to somebody, and who they're talking to. If they're talking to your admin versus they're talking to the owner of the business, the show rate's going to be very different. That's important to know. So you want to know how many of those people are coming through, right? As high of a percentage as possible is really, really important. I can tell you for sure from what we've seen when we split test the heck out of this in all these different markets is that if the owner of a clinic takes the call, the show up rate is going to be way higher. The other thing that's interesting about that is the conversion percentage, which is next, is what percent of these people that are getting on the call, let's say 10 people get on the call, 8 people say, yeah, I want to come in for a visit, a paid visit. That's an 80% conversion rate. We can scale the hell out of that. If 10 people get on a call and 3 people come in for a paid visit, that might be a problem for us. We may not be able to actually make ads work at that percentage depending on what you're selling, but you got to be as high as possible. What we're seeing is if you can get to 70% of this rate, so this show rate of a call to actually coming in for a paid visit, you can do really well with that as far as return on investment is concerned. That's the benchmark we want to see with people coming in from cold traffic or from these ads. So the conversion percentage at that point is going to be coming in for an actual visit and how many actually show up. That's another one. So 8 said they're going to come in, 5 showed up. That's not great. If 8 said they're going to come in and 8 actually come in, that's awesome. And a lot of this has to do with the messaging that you have around the entire funnel, the ad, and how they're being followed up with, the communication you have, the client success side of making sure they get what they need and they know what the next steps are, because that's all going to lead to the ultimate thing what we care about, which is the in-office conversion. How many people go from this, so your ad, to this? That's it. How many people go from the ad to becoming a client? That's what we care about. But in between, there's a bunch of steps where things can get lost and people can drop off. Now, this is really, really, really important. The reason I just walked you through all that and hopefully didn't confuse everyone, if you're not running any ads, it may make like not a lot of sense to you tangibly, because maybe you haven't done that or seen any of those. But this is very important, all right? You have so many drop-off points. You have so many things that can go wrong. The one thing that you have that can really help improve your ads is your local reputation. And I've already talked about this, and that would be here. This is your local marketing, all right? You build local reputation here. It's through your branding. It's also, frankly, your outcomes, your client experience, which I'll talk about in a second as well. But your local reputation can either dramatically help or dramatically hurt your ability to run paid ads. And think about what I just said in terms of like the life cycle of somebody that sees one of your pieces of content and then talks to a friend. Here's what can happen. They could say, oh yeah, I saw this, this video or whatever, like it helped my neck. Have you ever heard of this group? No, I haven't. Or yeah, I've heard that they're kind of sketchy. Or yeah, I've heard they're awesome. These are the things that happen from a local reputation standpoint. People talk to their friends. People trust other people more than they trust people advertising on the internet, because there's a lot of sketchy stuff that happens on the internet. Like, I get that, I'm apprehensive to trust ads on the internet as well. And your local reputation lives in the background. And it is what can make or break your advertising campaigns. This also includes things like social proof. So if you don't have any Google reviews, if you don't have any sort of reviews at all, that's a weird thing for a business. Like, you've got to start to chip away at those as well so people can see that. And that, again, is your local reputation. It's people saying, these people are awesome. I validate them. This is my name. This is what I experienced with them. Like, that's going to be part of the process of anybody coming from an ad. Nobody just goes ad, landing page, gets on a call to come in the office, buys a package. They go ad, let me check these people out. Are they legit? Look at their content. Look at their reviews. Talk to a friend. See if I can find anything else about it. Maybe like look at some other options. Forget about you. Come back, see the ad again. Oh, you know what? They seem legit. I think I have some time. I'm going to go ahead and set this up. They go to your landing page. You have the weirdest landing page ever. They don't book, and done. Or they go to your landing page. You have a great landing page with the ability for them to self-schedule. They pick a time that's convenient to them, talking to the owner. All of a sudden, now they're coming in and they become a client. Like, these are all the things that can drop off with this, which is one of the reasons why when we look at ads, this is something that we want to layer on in a slightly later stage. If you're a brand new business, this can be hard for you to get a good ROI because you don't have some of these other things. So you haven't built the infrastructure of the business. You haven't built the foundation for the business to then layer things on top of. And what I've seen with people that go straight into ads, they either think I don't have to go and engage with human beings in the real world, so I can just sit here behind my computer and I can just run ads, and they think that that's all that they need. And they're probably like, maybe a bit more on the introverted side, and that's not what they want to do, and it gives them some anxiety, which I understand. It's not my favorite thing to do either. But even if they are the most skilled digital marketer in the world, you still can't hide from the fact that you have a local service business. Like, you have to build some of these other parts of the marketing system that actively feed into your ads. And their ads would do better if they did these other things as well and layered them in with what they're doing. The other thing that I see, and frankly, this is huge within our profession, I see a lot of people that market just like that ads solve everything, and that you need to do their ad system or learn their ads approach or buy their ads program, and then all your problems will be solved. And that it just doesn't work that way. It's just one part of it. It can be a skill that can be a beneficial part to the business, but it has to be in conjunction with the other things that we're talking about. Otherwise, your outcomes are diminished. The effect that you have from the dollars that you're spending in that are diminished, and you would get a better ROI from that, and frankly have a better business, a more robust business, and a far harder business to kill than if you're just running ads. Keep this in mind. In the last 10 years in particular that I've been doing anything with digital advertising, I have seen 4 major changes in algorithms, both with Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, major changes that screwed up businesses that are completely dependent on ads. And that happens from time to time as these big platforms do what is best for them, and they'll make adjustments. Like there was a time when Facebook pages were killing it. Like your Facebook page could get amazing organic reach. And then all of a sudden they decided they didn't want to do that because they wanted people to pay for it. And then it tanked. And a lot of people had these huge Facebook pages with hundreds of thousands or millions of people. All of a sudden they were worthless overnight. So you've got to keep in mind that like these digital things can be taken away from you. Local things cannot be taken away from you very easily unless you frankly screw it up yourself. Like you just are doing the wrong things for people over an extended period of time. If you're not doing that, it's very, very easy to maintain a solid reputation if you have a good product service and you're doing the right things for people on an ongoing basis. So ads should be a part of it, but it should never be the only thing that you're doing. It can definitely layer on top of what you're doing and accelerate your ability to grow schedules, but you need both. You've got to have ads. You have to have a local reputation to go along with it because they improve each other. And if you pick one, local is going to be better for you than just ads. It's going to require more time and effort, but it's also something that can't be taken away. Like it just can't be taken away. And look, I ran my practice through COVID. Here's what I can tell you about COVID. COVID showed us right away whether people thought your company was worth a shit or not. Like for me to have people locally reach out and ask me if they could pre-purchase packages that they know they weren't going to use just because they wanted to make sure that we had cash flow in a time when they knew we were shut down. That doesn't happen if you just run ads. That doesn't happen if you just have a digital presence. That happens if you meet people and you engage with people and you build relationships with people and you actually are part of a community. That is the power of it. And what a perfect example of something that we had merely no control over whatsoever, to be able to run our business and saw a massive drop in our business because we couldn't see people for a period of time. And to have our community come together and really support us that way meant that we had built like an actual brand, a company that people wanted to see succeed. And that's what I'm talking about with building brand and building local reputations that goes hand in hand with other things like ads and content creation and all these other things you can do digitally. But don't forget the infrastructure and foundation of your practice has got to be local marketing and reputation that you have from being a part of the lives of people that live in the area that you are supporting. That creates a bulletproof business, in my opinion. It's something that you cannot skip. So the last thing is referrals. And the thing with referrals is referrals have to be earned. People refer people to businesses if they think they're doing an amazing job. Okay, you cannot be average and get referrals. There's something called a NPS score. An NPS score is a net promoter score. So a net promoter score is one question, and it's how likely would you be to refer a friend or family member to our business, right? It's on a scale of 0 to 10. 9s and 10s are considered promoters. So if you're a 9 or a 10, is really good. So 9 to 10, promoter. A 7, 8 is neutral, and anything 6 or below is what's called a detractor. Okay, so this is not good. This means that they don't like your business. These people don't have anything really positively or negatively to say about your business, but they'll probably still come, maybe, but they're not going to go out of their way to refer anybody. 9s and 10s are the ones that love what you do. They love it. For us, within our own company with PT Biz, our benchmark is 9.5. We want to see a 9.5. We want to be here on average across the board for the people that we work with. That means that we have a really, really high a great customer experience, and that they're getting what they have signed up for. We're getting what they want as far as why they want to work with us, right? But they're also getting a good experience along the way. And that's the key. So if you want to get a referral, you have to have strong service, great service, which would frankly be your outcomes. It means you have to have a great product and service, have great people that are fulfilling, that they're showing up on time, that they know people's names, that they're organized and they're following a system, and that they're getting people outcomes. But on the other side is you have to have a great client experience. Your space looks nice. It's branded well. Your people are friendly. Your communication is prompt. It's consistent. They know what to do. They know what to expect. All these things. Maybe it's you surprise them with things that are, they don't think you're paying attention to. We would do this all the time, and for good things and for not so good things. If someone had a family member or a close loved one that died, we would send them flowers. If it was somebody's birthday, we would get them a little gift. If we knew somebody was running a race or something like that, we would get them something in support of that, whether it's a shirt or a hat or whatever, something that they could wear in training or at their race. Like we would pay attention to what people were saying, and with minimal money but a lot of effort, we would be able to create amazing customer experiences for these people because we understand what they're doing, what their goals are, and we're listening to them. That's key. We're listening to them. That is your client experience. That's this. Your client experience is so important. It's literally 50% of the reason why somebody would refer somebody your way. The outcomes are the other 50%. Here's a good scenario. Like if you have somebody that literally is mediocre clinician, but man, people love that individual. They think that they're awesome. They're such a nice person. They listen to everything you say. They remember everything about your life, whatever. They may not have anything bad to say about you, but they're probably not going to refer somebody to you because you're not really getting the outcome that they want, right? If you have somebody who's an amazing clinician, but they are an absolute dud of a human being that has no emotional intelligence, this person gets you a great result, but you hate spending the hour with them every time that you do, no one's referring to you either. You need a combination of great outcomes and a great client experience, which isn't just the clinician, it's also the ecosystem around it that the business provides. Those two things together equal referral. You can incentivize these things through prompting people to do different things. But if you don't have these two to begin with, if you don't have these two things to start with, you're not going to get the referral. It's not going to happen. And referrals are awesome. They're one of the best things that you can track and engineer into your business because they are the best clients. They're pre-sold essentially. They're culturally going to be a great fit. And also it's a great feedback loop. Like it's this flywheel of one great person sends another great person who sends another great person who sends another great person, and it compounds on itself. It's very important to keep this in mind that you have to have amazing service and you have to have amazing client experience and go above and beyond for people. Like that's it. You have to work really hard to be awesome at what you do. You have to work really hard to be the best in your area at what you do. But if you are, you have an unfair advantage because your marketing all of a sudden becomes way easier. If half your volume is showing up because their friends and family are telling them to come in every single month, you have half the people you need to meet the minimum for the growth trajectories that you have. What a great place to be. Now all of a sudden you can spend less time and effort on the other areas, or if you spend more time and effort on those and you have this great referral network, you're going to grow even faster, right? And then your problem turns into staffing and space and not where do I find enough new patients or I don't have enough revenue. Like this is way different and way better business problems to solve than just getting enough new people. So the big thing for you is service plus client experience. That's going to equal you getting the referral. You got to keep in mind, you need to ask people to send folks your way occasionally. Like you can engineer this into the client experience by thinking about when someone has a big change, when they have a big outcome change, whether it be symptomatically or they got back to an activity. Like for instance, let's say you're working with somebody that wants to play recreational basketball and they haven't been able to because of an ankle issue they have going on. Well, let's say their ankle pain is gone and they just got back into their first pickup game where you're managing, I don't know, you're like, all right, we're going to play like 25% as much as you normally would. They get back to playing their first game, no pain. They felt good. They felt like they could move around well. They're excited. This is when you're going to ask for a referral. So when is the best chance to get a referral? It's when somebody has a big outcome or a symptom change and they're so excited. They're like, dude, this is so awesome. I haven't been able to play basketball in a year. I finally played basketball. I feel good. I feel like I'm making progress. That's awesome. Man, I'm so excited for you. I know this has been a lot of work. You put a lot of work in, effort. I'm so happy to see you're back to the things that you love to do. Hey, I've got a big ask for you if you're okay with it. If you know anybody else like yourself who's struggling to get back to like playing basketball or just an activity they love to do, a friend of yours, family member of yours, anything like that, I would really appreciate it if you connect me with them. Like we're a small business. We don't have a huge marketing budget. And we really, really enjoy working with people like yourself that are getting back to an athletic goal. So if you have anybody, just let me know. That'd be awesome. You can connect us via email or text. And I'd love to chat with them and see if we can help them as well. Like just a honest ask of, do you know anybody like yourself? I love working with people like you. And they may say, I'll think about it. I don't know, let me think about it. Or they might say, yeah, dude, my buddy Brian has been complaining about his knee. I see him at basketball. Let me connect you with him after we get out of here and you can see if you can help him out as well. Like what you have to keep in mind with a referral is A referral is not something you're going to get unless they're very confident that you're going to do the right thing for their friend or family member, because they got to be in a fantasy football league with that person. They got to see that person at dinner occasionally. Maybe they work with that person. And if they send him to you and you don't fulfill on what you say you're going to do, then they're going to get blamed for that, okay? So that you either get 100% of the blame for a bad referral, or you get 50% of the credit for a good one. 50% of the credit is going to go to that person that referred, and 50% is going to go to me if I'm the business owner or clinician that has fulfilled on what we say we're going to do. But if you send somebody somewhere and they suck, you now get 100% of the blame, and you get labeled as somebody who is untrustworthy. That is actually terrible. If you look at the psychology of that, if you are an untrustworthy person, you're out of the tribe, man. We can't trust you. This person is telling us to go, go eat this berry. It's not going to kill you. And then somebody dies. Don't trust Brian anymore. Brian's got terrible referrals. Like, he's not good for the tribe. Like, psychologically, we very much want to maintain status. Status is something you can't buy. And if you are if you're somebody who's trustworthy and your opinion carries weight, you can't buy that. You can't buy that. That is from you curating people for other people and making sure that they have the right experience and that they have the right outcomes, or they're with the right person. And that can go a long way. And a lot of people are very, very, they safeguard that. They don't want to lose that. They don't want to share that if they don't have to. So they'll make referrals based on if they're very confident that somebody's going to get what they want. So you've got to get the outcome, get the customer experience down, and then ask them at the right time. This can't be, they had a little setback and you're like, hey, do you know anybody like yourself that would like to work with me? Like, that's not going to work, man. Like, they just had a setback. They just re-sprained their ankle and now you're asking them? No, it has to be whenever they're on the upswing. Like, when they're doing something great and they're super excited about it, they're far more likely to actually refer somebody your way. But even if you don't ask, it still comes down to service and the actual client experience. Those are the two most important things. People will talk about you when they're not around you, regardless, whether they say something really good or really bad. Most people fall into this 7 to 8, and they're neutral. They're not going to say anything bad about your business, and they're not going to say anything great. Very few people fall into the 9s and 10s, but if you do it right, the vast majority of your clients should be in that category, and that will dramatically increase your referrals. So if we go back to our example, right? So we have local marketing, ads, content, and referrals, right? And if you are looking at this and you're saying to yourself, all right, I got to account for 40 new patients this month, right? That's the goal. All right. Well, maybe you get 10 from referrals, and that's not a bad spot to be. So 25 to 50% of your client base is coming in. Referrals, pretty good, right? Let's say you get another 10 from ads. So you're spending, it's called $1,000 a month on ads. That drives 10 new people into the business. Awesome. Local marketing, let's say this is going to get you another 15. This is a big part of what you're doing. And then 5 are coming from your content strategy. So you actually engaging with people on social media and then interacting with you and then setting up like a time to connect with somebody and see if they're fit to come in. But instead of you just saying, how am I going to find 40 people from local marketing this month, or how are we going to get 40 referrals internally from our patients? You got to think about spreading it out a little bit more, but still being able to track the ecosystem of everything. And what gets really cool with this is when you say, all right, well, what if we can make like a 10% improvement across the board in all of these categories, right? A 10% improvement, if you look at a 10% improvement in ads, right? This is going to get you one more person, right? So 10% here, this is one. 10% here, this is going to be another one person that's going to come in here, right? 10% here is half a person. We'll just call it one, right? And then we're going to do one more person coming from local marketing. This would actually be 2. Now, if you can just make a 10% improvement over a quarter, you'll go from 40 people a month to all of a sudden you're going to be 44, 45 people a month. And on the front end, for you, as you look at that each quarter, if you can make a 10% improvement in each of those, by the end of a quarter, you can have double digits more new patients per month that are high quality people as you're growing your practice. And the key is that they're going into a business model that is not just going to get them in and churn them after 2 to 3 visits. Like, you are getting them in, solving a root cause problem, and ideally you have something that is of value that they want to continue to stick around and work with you on things proactively, or work towards physical athletic goals that they have, that then turns your lifetime value, or the amount of work you get a chance to do with a client, and the amount of money they're spending at your business increases exponentially, which we can talk about in a separate video. But this is just the front end. This is how we get people into the business. The business itself is just as important, obviously, in terms of how you're working with people, because of the back end side of the business, the compounding effect of that, and how that snowballs and grows. And that's really, are you delivering value over an extended period of time? And are you providing anything to people that they see value in and wanting to do for a long time, and proactively? Because we don't want to necessarily just wait for people to get hurt again. It's kind of a silly model, right? It's just like, why don't we wait until your car breaks down before you then go and actually do some preventative maintenance, right? Why don't we wait until you are like, you have such terrible cancer that it's uncurable? Like, it doesn't make sense for us to wait and be reactive versus proactive. The only reason that we do that is because insurance doesn't pay for proactive work the way it does for reactive work. It's a sick care model, not a health care model. And for us, if you can work towards a proactive model that honestly a lot of people want and are trending that direction anyway, now all of a sudden we can take all this front end effort of all the marketing that we've done, and you can plug them into a system that is very, very efficient in providing long-term amazing outcomes for people, that's compounding that new patient volume in a recurring way that adds a lot of security, stability, and honestly enterprise value to your business, that doesn't happen unless you have a great business model that you're actually having people move into. So hopefully this helps. Remember, the 4 areas are local marketing. So local marketing, ads, content, and referrals. Those are the 4 that we found that are the sort of least complex, the most effective for this business model. And if you're struggling to get new patients in the door, if you're struggling with your practice in general, just trying to figure out how to grow your practice, how to actually run a practice like this, this is just one element. You're talking, sales, we haven't touched on that, marketing, people, processes, finance, all these things that you need to understand on the business side. These are things that, we can absolutely help you with. These are things that you can learn on your own, like with things like this, or you can get help from people that have helped practices all over the country scale up and use these effectively as well. It's up to you. You decide. Take this information and run with it, or the other step for you would be jump on a call with our team and let's take a look at what your business actually looks like. The thing that we like to do is, if we have a conversation with another business owner, we want that hour that we have with you to be the most valuable hour you've ever had of somebody looking at your business. The way we do that is we show you exactly what the benchmarks are for what we see across the hundreds of clinics that we're working with, which is an amazing advantage for us to be able to have that much data and see where you stack up. Where are your inefficiencies? Where are your weak points that you need to improve? And even on that one call, you may say, I don't think this is the right time. I don't think it's the right fit, whatever. That's totally fair. You will leave that call with more clarity of where your business is and what you need to do than you've had at probably any point in time of owning your business. That's our goal. Our advisors talk to hundreds of businesses every single year, just like this. And the goal is that you know exactly where your weak points are, what you need to work on. If you want us to help you implement that, awesome. If you want to do it yourself, you want to try to figure it out, that's cool too. We just want to make sure that we're providing value to you. So if you're interested, click the link below. You can apply to jump on a call with our team. We'll dig through your business with you. We'll take you through our proprietary assessment where we actually look at this, with you and share what's going on. So you have a really clear idea of where your business where it stacks up against the benchmarks that we see. And you'll have a really, really good idea about where your business is and what you need to do to go to the next level. So if you want to chat with our team, we'd love to have a conversation with you. I hope this helps. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.